Jack, have you ever been stuck in an elevator with someone and you both just stare at the numbers because neither of you knows what to say?
Every single day of my life, Rose. Every single day.
Today, we're talking about something that sounds simple, but honestly terrifies a lot of English learners small talk. Those little conversations with strangers, neighbors, or the cashier at the store.
And by the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly what to say so you never freeze up like that again.
Welcome back to Rose and Jack Everyday English. We're so happy you're here. I hope yesterday's episode helped you feel a little more confident.
Today is day 5 of our 30-day B1 to B2 challenge. And honestly, this might be my favorite topic so far.
Today's topic is small talk like a native speaker. This is real, everyday English conversation, the kind you actually need when you travel, when you start a new job, or when you just want to chat with your neighbor.
By the end of today's episode, you'll feel much more confident starting a conversation with anyone, anywhere.
Okay, so I have to tell you about something that happened when I first moved into my apartment building because it's honestly a little embarrassing. This was maybe 2 years ago, and I remember standing in the lobby waiting for the elevator, and this older man walked up next to me, and I just froze. Like, completely froze. I didn't know if I should say hello or just nod or pretend I was really interested in my phone.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. It's that moment where your brain just goes blank, right?
Exactly. So the elevator doors open, and we both step in, and it's just the two of us. And the silence is so heavy, I can almost feel it. And I'm thinking, someone has to say something. This is ridiculous. So finally, I just blurted out, "Nice weather today, isn't it?" Which is such a classic small talk line, but at least it broke the ice.
Did it work?
It actually did. He smiled and said, "Oh, yes, finally some sunshine after all that rain last week." And that was it. That was the whole conversation. But something changed after that. Every time I saw him in the building after that day, we always said hello, and sometimes we'd chat for a minute about something small, like the weather or a package that got delivered to the wrong door. And now, 2 years later, he's one of my favorite neighbors. We even watered each other's plants when one of us went on vacation.
That's such a nice story, and it really shows something important. Small talk isn't really about the weather or the traffic. It's about opening a door. It's a way to say, hey, I see you and I'm friendly.
Jack, have you ever been stuck in an elevator with someone and you both just stare at the numbers? Okay, so I have to tell you about something that happened when I first moved into my apartment building because it's honestly a little embarrassing. This was maybe 2 years ago, and I remember standing in the lobby waiting for the elevator, and this older man walked up next to me, and I just froze. Like, completely froze. I didn't know if I should say hello or just nod or pretend I was really interested in my phone.
Neither of you knows what to say.
Exactly. So the elevator doors open and we both step in, and it's just the two of us, and the silence is so heavy I can almost feel it. And I'm thinking, someone has to say something. This is ridiculous. So finally, I just blurted out, "Nice weather today, isn't it?" Which is such a classic small talk line, but at least it broke the ice.
Did it work?
It actually did. He smiled and said, "Oh, yes, finally some sunshine after all that rain last week." And that was it. That was the whole conversation. But something changed after that. Every time I saw him in the building after that day, we always said hello, and sometimes we chat for a minute about something small like the weather or a package that got delivered to the wrong door. And now, 2 years later, he's one of my favorite neighbors. We even watered each other's plants when one of us went on vacation.
That's such a nice story, and it really shows something important. Small talk isn't really about the weather or the traffic. It's about opening a door. It's a way to say, hey, I see you, and I'm friendly.
Exactly, and that's what I didn't understand before. I used to think small talk was fake or pointless. Like, why are we talking about the weather when neither of us actually cares? But now I realize it's not about the topic at all. It's about connection.
Well, since you're sharing embarrassing stories, I have to tell you about my local coffee shop because this is a story I think about all the time. There's this coffee shop near my apartment, and I go there almost every morning before work. And for the first few months, I would just walk in, order my coffee, pay, and leave. I never said more than, "One coffee, please, and thank you."
Okay, So, I have to tell you about something that happened when I first moved into my apartment building because it's honestly a little embarrassing. This was maybe 2 years ago, and I remember standing in the lobby waiting for the elevator, and this older man walked up next to me, and I just froze. Like, completely froze. I didn't know if I should say hello or just nod or pretend I was really interested in my phone.
That sounds like you were trying to avoid conversation completely.
In the lobby, waiting for the elevator, and this older man walked up next to me, and I just froze. Like, completely froze. I didn't know if I should say hello or just nod or pretend I was really interested in my phone.
Honestly, I was. I think I was worried that if I said too much, the barista would ask me a question I couldn't answer quickly, or I'd say something wrong and it would just be awkward. So I stayed quiet, and I thought that was the safe option.
But something changed, right? Because now you're always telling me about your friend at the coffee shop.
Right. So one morning, the barista, her name is Maria, she noticed I was wearing a jacket from my old university, and she said, "Oh, did you study there?" And I panicked for a second, but then I just answered honestly. I said, "Yeah, I studied business there for 4 years. It feels like a lifetime ago now." And she said she almost went there too, but chose a different school instead. And just like that, we had this whole little chat about university life while she made my coffee.
And how did that make you feel?
It felt amazing, actually. I remember walking out of that coffee shop feeling so light, like I had done something brave. And after that day, our conversations just kept building. Now she knows I don't like too much sugar in my coffee. She asks about my weekend, and last month she even recommended a new bakery 2 streets away because she knew I love pastries.
See, that's such a perfect example of what small talk can turn into. It starts with one tiny comment, and it can grow into a real relationship, even if it's just a friendly one at your local coffee shop.
Exactly. And I think the mistake I made at the beginning was thinking small talk needed to be perfect or clever or interesting. But actually, the simplest comments work the best. Commenting on the weather, the coffee smell, how busy the shop is that day. These are all completely normal ways to start talking to someone.
I think that's the biggest lesson for English learners here. You don't need a brilliant opening line, you just need something simple and honest.
Speaking of honest, can I tell you about a mistake I made? Because this one still makes me cringe a little.
Please, go ahead. I love hearing about your mistakes.
Thanks, very supportive of you. So, a few months into knowing Maria, I decided to try a bit of small talk with a customer who was standing in line next to me. She was wearing running shoes and workout clothes, so I thought, easy topic, I'll ask about exercise. So I turned to her and said, "Do you exercise a lot?" And she just looked at me a little confused and said, "I mean, sometimes. Why do you ask?"
Oh no, that's a little direct.
It was so direct. I realized right away that my question sounded almost like an interview question, not a friendly comment. What I should have said was something like, "Are you heading to the gym? I've been trying to go more often myself." That way it's a comment, not a question that puts pressure on the other person.
That's such an important point. In small talk, the goal is usually to make a comment or share something small about yourself, not ask a question that feels like an interview.
Exactly. And what I've learned since then is that the best small talk usually goes comment, then question, then listen. So you might say, "This line is moving so slowly today, isn't it? Are you also on your lunch break?" That feels much more natural than just firing off a random question.
I completely agree. And actually, that connects to something that happened to me at the gym, because I used to think gyms were the worst place for small talk. Everyone has headphones in, everyone looks busy, everyone seems like they don't want to be bothered.
I feel exactly the same way, honestly.
But one day, I was using the treadmill next to a woman, and the machine next to me kept making this really annoying beeping sound over and over. And I just laughed and said, "This thing has been beeping for 10 minutes. I think it's broken." And she laughed too and said she'd been trying to ignore it the whole time. We ended up chatting for a few minutes between sets. Nothing deep, just about the gym, the classes they offer, stuff like that.
And did you see her again after that?
I did, actually. We say hello now whenever we're there at the same time, and once we even ended up doing a workout class together. It's funny because if that machine hadn't been broken, I don't think I ever would have talked to her.
That's such a good example of how small talk often starts with something completely random. A broken machine, bad weather, a slow elevator, but it can lead somewhere really nice.
It really can. Actually, now that we're talking about this, I remembered something else, something that happened at the hairdresser a few months ago. I usually go quiet during haircuts because I'm nervous someone will ask me something while my head is tilted back in the sink, and I'll answer with my eyes closed like a strange person.
That's such a specific worry, but I understand it completely.
Right? So this time I had a new hairdresser, someone I'd never met before, and while she was cutting my hair, she noticed a book sticking out of my bag. It was a novel I was halfway through, and she asked, "Is that book any good? I've been looking for something new to read." And normally I might have just said, "Yeah, it's fine," and left it there. But this time I actually told her the whole plot, badly, because I get too excited when I talk about books I like.
I can imagine you doing that, honestly.
It was a mess, but she laughed, and she said she loved that kind of story too. And by the end of the appointment, we had talked about 3 different books, 2 shows we both watched, and she even gave me her opinion on a movie that just came out. I left that hairdresser feeling like I'd made a new friend, not just gotten a haircut.
See, that's the same pattern again, though, isn't it? A tiny detail, a book in your bag, sparked the whole conversation. It wasn't planned, it wasn't clever, it was just noticing something small and mentioning it honestly.
Oh, no, that's exactly it. And I think that's such a useful lesson for anyone learning English. You don't need a perfect topic ready in your head. You just need to look around you, notice something, and comment on it honestly. Little direct.
That reminds me of something that happened with my neighbor's dog, actually. There's a dog that lives 2 doors down from me, a little brown dog always pulling on its leash like it's in a huge hurry to get somewhere important. And for months, I would just smile at the dog and keep walking, never really speaking to the owner.
Why do you think that was? You seem so relaxed with Maria at the coffee shop now.
I think it's different with a neighbor because you're worried you'll see them again and again. So if the first conversation goes badly, it feels awkward every single time after that. But one evening, the dog ran straight up to me and jumped on my leg, and the owner looked so embarrassed and said, "I'm so sorry. He does this to everyone. He has zero manners." And I just laughed and said, honestly, he has better social skills than me. At least he says hello.
That's actually a really funny thing to say.
She laughed a lot at that, and from that evening on, we always stop and chat for a minute whenever we see each other. Sometimes about the dog, sometimes about the neighborhood, sometimes about nothing important at all. And I realized the dog basically did the hard work for me. He gave us something easy to talk about.
That's such a great point, though, because it shows that small talk topics are literally everywhere. A dog, a book, a broken machine, bad weather. The world gives us these little openings all the time. We just have to be willing to use them.
I completely agree. And I think a lot of English learners wait for the perfect topic, something smart or impressive, but honestly, the boring topics work the best because they're low pressure. Nobody feels nervous talking about the weather or a cute dog.
You know, thinking about all of this, I realized the elevator story I told at the beginning, your coffee shop story, and now the hairdresser and the dog, they all have something really similar. Both of us were scared of that first sentence. Once the first sentence was out, everything else felt easy.
That's so true. The hardest part is always the first comment. After that, the conversation almost takes care of itself.
And I think that's really the heart of today's episode. If you're learning English and you want to practice real, everyday English conversation, small talk is honestly one of the best ways to start because the stakes are low, the topics are simple, and most people are happy to chat for a minute or two.
I love that. And if it helps anyone listening, here's a simple formula. Start with a comment about the situation, then add a question, then really listen to the answer and respond to it. That's it. That's basically the whole skill of small talk.
Simple, but powerful. And the more you practice it, even in your own language first if you need to, the easier it becomes in English too.
Absolutely. So next time you're in an elevator or in line at a coffee shop or waiting for the hairdresser or walking past a neighbor's dog, try it. Just say one small thing. You might be surprised where it leads.
Okay, now let's slow down for a minute and look at some of the useful expressions we use today, because you probably heard some really natural phrases without even noticing.
Let's start with break the ice. Rose used this one when she talked about her elevator story. Breaking the ice means saying something to make an awkward or quiet situation feel more comfortable, usually with a stranger.
Right. So if you're in a silent elevator or at a party where you don't know anyone and you say something simple to start a conversation, that's breaking the ice. A common mistake learners make is saying break the ice as if it's a big formal action, but really it's often just one small, simple sentence like, nice weather today, isn't it?
Next, we have put someone on the spot, which connects to my story about asking that woman if she exercises a lot. When you put someone on the spot, you ask them something so directly that they feel a little uncomfortable, almost like they have to answer immediately.
That's such a useful phrase, and I think a lot of learners actually do this by accident, because direct questions feel polite in some languages, but in English, small talk direct questions can sometimes feel a bit too intense.
Exactly. So a more natural alternative is to make a comment first, then add a soft question instead of just asking directly.
Let's talk about spark a conversation. This means to start a conversation, usually because of something small or unexpected, like a book, a dog, or even a broken machine. I used this when I talked about the beeping treadmill at the gym.
I really like this phrase because it shows that conversations often begin from tiny, random moments, not big, planned topics. Something as small as a broken machine can literally spark a conversation between two strangers.
Another one we used a lot was low pressure. This describes a situation that doesn't feel stressful or demanding. Small talk is considered low pressure because nobody expects deep or complicated answers.
A common mistake is thinking that small talk needs to be impressive or clever, but the whole point is that it stays low pressure, simple, easy, and relaxed.
We also use the word cringe, which I said about my own story with the running shoes comment. If something makes you cringe, it means it makes you feel embarrassed, often when you remember it later.
That's such a common feeling for English learners, actually, remembering a conversation and cringing about a mistake you made. But it's completely normal. Even native speakers cringe about things they've said before.
Let's also review awkward, which came up several times today. Awkward describes an uncomfortable or embarrassing situation, like silence in an elevator or a question that feels too direct.
A useful alternative that native speakers also use is uncomfortable, but awkward specifically describes that strange, uneasy social feeling, not just general discomfort.
And finally, let's talk about the phrase comment, then question, then listen, which we created today as a simple formula for small talk. This isn't a fixed English expression, but it's a useful pattern you can remember. Make a small comment about the situation, ask a gentle follow-up question, and then really listen to the answer.
I think that formula alone could completely change how confident someone feels the next time they need to make small talk in English.
Let's look at some common mistakes B1 learners make when trying to do small talk in English.
Mistake number 1. Incorrect. You exercise. Correct. Are you heading to the gym today? The first sentence sounds too direct and almost like an interrogation. The second sentence sounds like a natural, friendly comment.
Mistake number 2. Incorrect. What is your opinion about the weather? Correct. Nice weather today, isn't it? Learners sometimes make small talk sound too formal or academic. Small talk should always sound light and casual. Mistake number 3. Incorrect. Do you like reading books? Correct. Is that book good? I've been looking for something new to read. The first question is fine, but it's very general and can end the conversation quickly with a simple yes or no. The second version invites a longer, more natural response.
Mistake number 4. Incorrect. I am sorry for talking to you. Correct. Sorry to bother you. Do you know if this line moves quickly? Learners sometimes apologize too much or in the wrong way. In English, we usually apologize for a specific small interruption, not for speaking in general.
Mistake number 5. Incorrect. You must answer my question. Correct. No worries if you're busy, just wondering what time it is. Learners can accidentally sound demanding. Adding softening phrases like just wondering or no worries keeps the tone friendly and relaxed.
Now let's do a quick shadowing practice.
I'll see a sentence, then pause, and Jack, you repeat it naturally. Nice weather today, isn't it?
Nice weather today, isn't it?
This line is moving so slowly today.
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 Are you heading to the gym? I've been trying to go more often myself.
Are you heading to the gym? I've been trying to go more often myself.
Are you heading to the gym? I've been trying to go more often myself.
Are you heading to the gym? I've been trying to go more often myself.
Now it's your turn. Think about a small talk conversation you had recently, maybe with a neighbor, a cashier, or someone at the gym.
In the comments below, tell us what topic sparked that conversation. Was it the weather, an animal, something you were wearing, or maybe something completely random?
Try writing your answer in English, even if it's just 2 or 3 simple sentences. This is real practice for real English conversation, and it helps you remember today's expressions much better.
We'll be reading the comments, so don't be shy. Every sentence you write is a step closer to speaking English more naturally and more confidently.
Thank you, friends, for listening to our today's episode. I hope you learned something from it.
You're doing such a great job staying consistent with this challenge, and small talk is honestly one of the most useful skills you can practice every single day.
Don't miss tomorrow's episode, Day 6 of the B1 to B2 Challenge. Subscribe now so you don't fall behind.
See you tomorrow, friends!